Okay, here we are. I have another project for you. We're middle of July. Now, I did mow some hay out here out front this morning. I did haul a bull calf and a cow into market this morning. And then I decided to work on this project. It did rain yesterday a bit, not too much. It's been getting a little dry here, but things are still pretty green. Pastures are doing really good yet, which is great. But I was going to show you guys this project. So I started working on this here about 2 weeks ago when we didn't really have hay ready to cut yet. We got John in here to groom things up a bit. Now this fence I built new, I believe, back in '94. I still remember. And it was getting there where some of the posts need to get replaced and some of it was tipping in. This is almost more of a cattle lane through here where, so if we look the other way, the dairy barn and stuff is just over the knoll here. So this is kind of behind our buildings where we drive in, but so there's a little bit of pressure here. So we got all these steel gates we put in here about 10-15 years ago now, and then from here on it was just barbed wire. We got a wheel gate. So I started this and I thought maybe I should film it. So we took the fence apart. We had John take off the ledge, because what happens, being that this is downhill here, from years and years of doing field work here, it gets to be a kind of a ledge, and there wasn't really much for stumps or any of that stuff. But there was a lot of deep cow paths like in here. You couldn't really drive through here. He kind of sliced this up just a little bit, and then same with over there. There's kind of a ledge there. And then you see the apple tree there. I did prune it some. Now, it ain't done by the book, but it is way better than it was. And that's kind of a volunteer apple tree that grew by itself. So that between that tree and this one is the only ones that the cows would have for shade in this 4-acre field that we have here. And this is up behind our trench here, of course. But so we got electric fence down along the road. So they graze this. So this would be second crop and beyond from we made the hay at first crop, but that we just offer to the cows from that point on. We're kind of doing the same thing we had before, except now we got kind of a clean slate to start with. So I got a gate here that's roughly 14 feet that's got to fit in here. And here it is laying in the grass. Kind of my wife's idea. I built this back in early '94. Someone's going to ask where we get all these wheels from. My dad used to rent a farm back when I was a teenager from a neighbor. They had a lot of old horse machinery parked under the trees and around the buildings that I was able to buy off of him. They were bachelors, and for $35, $40, there was a lot of iron. Like these are from rakes, the wheels and stuff. And then there's a different size wheel in the middle. We got some water pipe, just whatever we could find, and welded all that stuff together. Got some hinges. There's some plates here from I think that's from like a railroad track. And then the other half's down in the shop right now that goes on this end. There's a shaft there. And that'll bolt on that post and then swing open this way. So when we want to let the cows into this field, that's the access for our cows. So I'm doing the brace assemblies, all new railroad ties. The older ties, you can see here, they're getting pretty bad. I mean, they'll rot off right at ground level. And so that tie is probably 50 years old already, and it's been in here half its life. So it's done a lot already. So we got this seeded down, and then I had a few loads of manure, which worked great because I didn't have any fields to spread it on. So I spread it here into this fence row after John got done, after we got her seated. There's a few of these stones, and I'm good at picking them up and trying to tuck them into other places. So anyway, this whole stretch is maybe 1/8 of a mile, maybe a little better. But he kind of fixed this up in here. So this here used to be kind of some really crooked cow paths in the side of the hill where you couldn't even drive through here with a 4-wheeler without flipping it over. Now I'm able to drive through here with maybe, for instance, the bush hog or the skid steer or the 4-wheeler when you're checking cattle or looking for cattle or whatever the case. And so this here lane pretty much leads our bigger pasture. This is one of their main walkways. So I got one post here marked, I got another one down there, and then the tree just above the tree, and then it goes down to the corner near the cornfields. I'll give you guys an update as I do this project, and maybe when we do the wire I may have more help. But right now I'm putting together the brace assemblies, which I gotta say, I rather do this than chase cattle. I would rather do this all day every day than chase cattle that out of places where they don't belong. I enjoy fencing, except when I got a fence for the neighbors that may not do their fencing when it should be done. So that's when it can get frustrating. But it's a lot of work, but I guess it's not stressful like trying to make hay hoping the sun stays out and it don't rain on it before you get it. Okay, so here's what I call the brace assembly. And so I got the posts both packed in, made sure they were tall enough for the gate that's going to fit in there and all that. And then what I did is I took a chainsaw and cut a hole in each end with my carving bar, and then roughly in the middle. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a cross wire in, and I'm going to show you how I do that. I have 4 of these to do. So there's 2 here, and then on the other end the corner post is rotted off. Even though it looks fine, it's all going to have to get redone before I attach all this to it. So anyway, let's get at it. Now we're going to use barbed wire. You can use smooth wire too. And maybe it's just simply we have a lot of this, and I think it just adds a lot more to the fence anyway. It's a little harder to work with is all. But when you do make a tie, it does hold itself better than smooth wire would. This is something we took out of a different fence. We had to make some adjustments a while back. So we got some spools of some shorter ones. Okay, if you're paying attention here. So, staple or a nail or anything like that to hold it from slipping down or up. So you see what we got here. And the key is to make them both so they're about the same, loose or tight if you want to say. And then what I got here is a short piece of old water pipe. So I jigged through my junk pile, and you don't want it too long. And this is kind of where it really gets doing what it's supposed to do. So we're going to see if we can get this so that they both come together. Now there's different ways a person could probably make this work. You could have 2 of these pipes in here, but I think the nice thing with a round pipe is you're able to slide it as you go. Now, you see what's going to happen. Just me twisting this is going to tighten them both up so it pulls both posts together. So we're going to see if we can get this without getting ourselves in a mishap here. We're needing stitches. I guess you live and learn with those things. Now sometimes I try to use some wire that's not so good anymore for stuff like this, because it does most of its work the first year or 2. And I've done these a whole bunch of different ways. I just found out I like this way the best. So now we're really getting tight here. So that's pulling these both together. So in the winter when we get the frost, and in the spring when things start getting loose, these posts are going to stay put. This is going to hold this whole thing together. This is like your anchor of the fence. And I've seen all sorts of different ways guys done this. And some just, it seems like it ain't much of nothing, and the next guy goes all out. I believe if you do it right, you can get 30 years out of them or more. Depending how fussy you are, how nice you want to see it. So this fence here, I mean, the cows are coasting by this all summer long. And sometimes on this side we put some dry ones in here, and they want to get back with the herd. So if your fencing so-so, you're going to get some issues going on there. So other places that don't matter as much. It might be in the backside of the farm along some woods where they probably don't want to, they don't necessarily try to get it through it. So a little bit of a fight to get it how I like it. But so what's going to happen is the wires that come across are going to be on this side. So you usually put the wires on the side where your livestock will be the most, or the upside typically. But this will be in between the wiring besides, and it gives you a real nice finished look. So if you happen to be mowing up against the fence and stuff, you're not going to be hooking these type of things. And then, so what I'll do is I'll put a staple in each one of these besides. Either that, or I could just put that in and bend it over. But I got some shorter ones for these oak, then I might even pull them back out. Use them somewhere in a pine pole. Because a bent staple it isn't going to hold forever. So we use the shorter staples in the oak posts and the longer staples in the pine poles. So that's what most of these railroad ties are, is oak, white oaks. Okay, so we check back in when we make more progress.